Hello, upper cervical doctors and students. Welcome back to the UCM podcast. I am Dr. Bill Davis, CEO of UCM Practice Growth Systems. Excited to be back with you again today. And today we're going to be focusing on Practice Growth Stage 6, which is the Multiple Practice Master Stage. If you've been with us for a while, you're learning about these stages. You're learning about what it takes to go from one stage to the next. And today we're specifically going to be talking about this multiple practice master stage. So if you're in that scaling master place where you have grown from one location to two locations, and as part of your vision, you want to add a third location, a fourth location, a fifth location. You want to have a network of clinics within your county or your state. This is the podcast for you. Multiple practice master. How do you go from two locations to multiple locations? And we're going to get right into this today. So when your first two locations, this is the key, your first two locations have to be rocking and rolling in order to move on to a third. You don't want to have, for instance, your main location, your first location is doing great, but your second location is really not doing as well as the original. Then I would focus first on making that second location really roll, right? Really rock and roll. So that's what you want to do. If you don't want to add a third location if you don't have the first two really dialed in, because then that's going to divide your focus even more. It's most likely going to impact your original location or your second location or whatever it is. So making sure that you have two locations that are really doing great. Then we say, okay, let's scale this. We have a system. We have something that we can make happen in order to produce a third location that's going to be great. And then eventually a fourth and a fifth and so forth. It's crucial to remember also that every new location is a new business, and it needs to be invested in with time and money to make it successful, right? It's just like your kids, right? If you have multiple kids, you'll know, each one of them is different. Each one of them needs your time. It needs your attention. They need your focus. And the same thing with businesses. They're like little babies, right? Especially when they're brand new, they're like children. You've got to invest in them. You've got to take care of them. You got to make sure that they are going to thrive. And so you got to make sure you're focusing on the right things to grow at this phase so you can add the third location and more. And so let's get into some specific skills, right? So there's some specific skills you want to work on. If you're in this place where, you've got the two locations, they're doing great, and you really see more locations in your future, duplicating culture is a huge part of it. If I were you, I'd read every book you can about culture. A great one that we read, we've read several times with our team is The Culture Solution by Matthew Kelly. Fantastic book. Highly recommend it. That is a great book about culture. And that's, there's a lot of different books out there. There's a lot of different resources out there related to culture, but really what it's about is having that focus of, hey, this is how we do things. This is what we do. Having that permeate every team member's mind and their daily lives, so that when you open that third location or fourth or fifth or whatever it is, that it's representative of your brand, right? What you don't want to have is you don't want to have multiple locations with completely different look and feels, completely different brands, completely different cultures. You want to duplicate your culture so you can have systemization that will make sure that you're getting consistent results at each location for your patients. Another big skill that you want to work on in this Practice Growth Stage 6 is leadership development. Making sure that both you are growing in your leadership, but also that your leaders are growing in their leadership. If you have, you're going to have at least one doctor who is going to raise up into a new level leadership. So for instance, if you're you're the clinic director at your original location, you have a senior associate who runs your second location, and now you're going to raise up another one of your associates to be the senior associate at the third location, for instance, you got to make sure that they understand all the aspects of running a practice, that you've trained them well, that you've given them your insights, you've peeled back the curtain on the practice so that they understand what it's like to actually run a practice. So leadership development is key, making sure that you really dial in and focus in on your doctors, but also your office manager, your new patient coordinator, any of those kinds of roles that are key at a new location as well. And then the other thing is another skill is branding. You got to make sure that your branding is consistent. I spoke a little bit about that, but you want to make sure upper cervical specific specialty offices, that they're all positioned as that they align with one another. And then the other part of that is a marketing plan. You want to have a marketing plan for the new location. As I said, it's a new business. Think of it like a new business. We recommend a 3-year marketing plan if possible. Really dial in your marketing over a long period of time. That's what we do with our clients who are going to open up new locations, is really get a focus on, okay, what are we going to do year 1, year 2, year 3 to really get this by year 3 as strong as the original or as the other locations are. So those are some of the key skills you got to be working on. And really, how can we help you if you are in this phase, if you're in this stage of growth, if you want to open multiple locations, you have that vision? We would love to talk with you about that. There's a lot of opportunities. Usually our Platinum plan is a great place to start, but sometimes you really just need to start with our Start Right program. Our Start Right program is great for a new location. It's going to get you everything you need, everything that's required digitally and even internally to help you. Another big piece is our patient education system. That's a great thing for a brand new location, new practice. Our marketing systems are always a good fit for a multiple practice master as well, to feed new patients into their full system, especially if you're going to have multiple locations. You want to make sure that you have lots and lots of new patients flowing into the practice. So lots of ways to help the multiple practice master. And the first step always is just to head over to the website. Just go over to ucmpracticegrowthsystems.com, click on Start Growing, schedule initial consultation with us, talk with us about where you are, what your plan is, what your vision is, and we can give you more coaching and more specific information on how best we can help you. So thank you so much for all you do. Thank you for being with us again on this episode of UCM Podcast. And as we always say, go team upper cervical.